Hello. Now, today is Pie Day, and I was going to originally eat one of Linda McCartney's pies, but I couldn't get a shop which actually had one. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to make a variant on a traditional Turkish burek, a traditional Turkish pie. I'm going to do a leek pie. Here are my leeks, and I'm going to use some puff pastry which I bought from the shop. I'm not actually going to make my own pastry. I want to make this as simple as possible. You can do this at home to beat climate change and take part in Vegetarian Week. So take part with me and let's make a leek pie together. So the first thing you need to do is to chop the leeks. There was a day when leeks just came out of the ground. I remember I used to pick leeks. Wonderful things. They just go on forever. So we've chopped the leeks very finely. Look. It needs to be really fine. Okay, something like that. We're going to put the leeks in the frying pan. We're going to... we really want to make the leeks as tender as possible. We need about 2 teaspoonfuls of olive oil, not too much. Because we don't want the whole thing to be some liquid mess. At this point it would help if I were left-handed. I was when I was a child, and then I was converted. Wasn't that awful? I was converted by a very aggressive Latin teacher who got very annoyed with the fact that I had ink everywhere. And I was so embarrassed, I started writing and drawing with my right hand. Took about a week. It's horrible. I think I'm still instinctively a left-hander. So these are becoming much more supple. Are they? They are, aren't they? And they're using, it's all their own juice. There's very, very little oil in here. But they're malleable. So we don't want hard leeks. What's the difference? What do you call a non-hard leek? Is it a sort of limp? A limp. You want your leeks to be limp. We're cooking this in its own liquid, and this, incidentally, is a recipe. It's a version of food that I had when I first went to Istanbul, and I remember going to see a lady called Umit. And I think that's the name that means hope. And she gave us leek burek, which is a version of what I'm doing now. She also read my tea and insisted I was going to have buckets of money. So 20 years later, that hasn't happened. I don't quite know what went wrong with that bit, but the rest seems to work splendidly. And you can have this. Instantly, you can have this at any time. Dinner, lunch, tea. Excellent with tea. Excellent with tea. Whether you want to read the tea leaves or not. It's reduced from a huge amount to something really quite manageable. You just don't think of leeks like that, do you? You think of leeks as these sort of rather chunky things that just go on forever, popping out of the ground whenever you thought you got them all up, actually. I remember a leek jungle. Just outside Oxford. Just went on forever. Just when you thought the last leek had gone, there was another. In the middle of winter. I like leeks. Good bit of alliteration there. We need to put in lots and lots of pepper and some Himalayan salt. Do a substantial amount. Some ground pepper. You've got to grind your own pepper. You've got to have ground pepper. Lots of it. Do you think we need some more? Maybe a little bit. I'm going to let it relax. There's nothing like a bit of relaxing leek. Okay, so the pastry. I only bought one of these, but the grease-proof paper is particularly efficacious. Let's there we are. We really need twice the size. So I've got a little device which is going to make rolling the pastry out so much easier. as this is about the right size. This is the size I want. Rolling pin, knife, right, and let's put the leeks onto the bottom of the casing, like this. So we put the leeks inside here. We need to make sure that the edges are secure. So just prick the edges. We need an egg yolk. We're going to add a little pinch of salt, a drop, very small drop of oil, it's probably small enough, and a little bit of milk. It's a little bit or a little drop of milk. I think it's a drop of milk. There's a little paintbrush here. We're going to glaze. It's your Michelangelo moment. I was going to say Michelangelo, of course, did it on his back, but it's not true. He apparently, we know from one of the poems that he was standing with his head pushed back, so he was actually standing on a scaffolding, and painting standing up. Now, finally, we've got some black seeds. We drop these all over, so it should look something like this. And we're going to heat this, we're going to cook this in a middle shelf in the oven for about 35 minutes. So an excellent moment to talk about the Trussel Trust. And the Trussel Trust is making food parcels and delivering these because at the moment food banks have been heavily hit by the COVID crisis. So if you have an opportunity, please donate and support the Trussel Trust. So I think we're about ready. We've got 35 minutes. Have a look in here. We are absolutely ready. There we are. We want to let it settle, so we've got a clean tea towel here. We're going to place that over the top for about 15 minutes. Now, I think we're also making some tea. I put some tea down somewhere. Oh, yes. Oh, my. Okay, so we are ready. Good. And then we need to take these. They're still a little warm. There we are. There we are, tea time, lunchtime, whatever you want. For me, it's tea time. So let's have a traditional pot of tea a la Turk. And a little sugar.
The folks' food, I don't know.
Look at that. Extremely tasty, really. A twist on the English pie. My version of Turkish börek. Leek börek.